Well, I'm a huge believer in SMART goals. So I think that your goals need to be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. You're underestimating your capabilities over the next 10 years. And the reason you're doing that is because you've never sat down and got clear on those goals.
How many hours per week do you spend creating and producing content across all your channels?
How many hours are in a day? Delivering exactly what you promised is under-delivering, and over-delivering is just expected. What you need to do is create content consistently.
Why are a bunch of investors using profanity now like that's the way to do business?
Interesting, Marty.
Bro, you need to get shredded and I can be the dude to take you there. All I need in exchange is for you to spend some time to talk about real estate with me.
I was like, nah. What is up, YouTube? Matt McKeever here, and in today's video, I'm going to be answering your questions. So this was pretty popular we did a video a few weeks ago, I guess now. I'd love to make this a reoccurring segment. So rule number one, if you got a question, post in the comment section down below. Rule number two, I guess let's just dive into answering your questions. I love kind of this two-way feedback loop. So again, really appreciate all of you that leave me a comment or a question down below.
Renovation tips. What to upgrade and what not to upgrade that'll give you the highest appraisal value when using the BRRRR strategy.
Yeah, great question. So in regards to using the BRRRR investment strategy and what renovations are going to give you the best bang for your buck, with almost any renovation, paint. If we're literally talking about the highest ROI, a new fresh coat of paint can make a world of difference on any apartment or house. Flooring can also dramatically change the feel, especially when added with new paint. Now, outside of that, the renovations that I found to be most successful in regards to a high ROI, things like adding a bedroom. So if we can convert a den or an office into a full bedroom, that actually adds a lot of value, and in fact can even increase the gross rents that we're commanding from our rental property. Beyond that, things like finishing a partial finished basement as well is a great way to add a lot of value, essentially repurposing any existing space. Adding additions, blowing out roofs, blowing out the back of a house, all sounds cool and makes for a great fake TV show, but it's actually quite expensive for real estate investors to implement, and often it's not going to make financial sense. So the renovations I prefer to look at are new kitchens. And again, this doesn't mean that we're going granite countertop. It can be something simple and clean from IKEA. Things like updating bathrooms, definitely massive. You can spend $5,000 updating the bathroom or updating a kitchen, and it will have a huge impact. Same with, you can spend another $5,000 changing the flooring and maybe $5,000 in cosmetic details and paint for about a $15,000 renovation. All of a sudden, we made a big impact on that space by changing the kitchen, changing the flooring, and changing the paint and just a few cosmetic details. Outside of those renovations, I would then encourage you guys to look at adding laundry to your units. So again, laundry doesn't have to be a very expensive renovation. Oftentimes we're able to do it for between $2,000 and $5,000, and that includes all the appliances. You can also look at adding a dishwasher. In general, I find that adding a dishwasher will increase the rents you can command as well. With the laundry example, we can usually command another $100 to $150 a month in rent. With the dishwasher example, we can maybe command another $50 a month in rent. So all these things are certainly accretive to us from a renovation perspective, because that adding a dishwasher can cost as little as $500 including the appliance if you buy a used appliance off of Kijiji. And there's lots of great tips that I've shared on my YouTube channel in the past for you guys in regards to finding appliances on Facebook Marketplace or Kijiji.
If you had to start over with no money, but all the knowledge you have now, what would you do to get your feet in the water?
If I was starting all over with real estate investing, but I got to keep everything up here, well, one, I feel like I'm off to a great start. Two, I'm going to do wholesaling. I'm going to focus on getting really good and really close to a lot of deals. The more opportunities, the more deals that cross your path, the better a position you're going to be in regards to just making money out of those opportunities. The more problems I can stumble into, the more profits I'm going to make. So getting close to opportunities and deals, that would be my #1 suggestion. And I find that wholesaling is one of the best strategies there. If for whatever reason you're not going to go the wholesaling route, then I would consider becoming a realtor. realtor and really just becoming a market expert and just dominating my niche, because I think a lot of realtors are soft. I think that the right hungry investor coming in could just absolutely decimate the competition.
SK Hong 001 asks, what is a lifelong goal for you?
What is a lifelong goal for me? That's a great question. If you guys didn't know, I'm a huge believer in SMART goals. So I think that your goals need to be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. Now, when I'm looking at SMART goals, anything under 5 years really does need to be a SMART goal, and certainly anything in a 6-month to a 1-year time horizon has to be a SMART goal. When I'm talking about lifelong goals, so maybe goals that are going to take decades to accomplish, well, in that case, I'm going to be a little bit fuzzier, and I like to use what I call North Star goals. Those North Stars, they're guiding principles and concepts, but they're not necessarily detailed. So I'm 35 right now at the time of shooting this video in 2020. I've got a goal for age 40. I've got a goal for age 45, and I've got a goal for age 50. That goal for age 40 looks like I just want such crazy financial abundance. I like to call it private jet wealth. Now, that doesn't mean that I actually need or want to own a private jet. Everything I've read about them, they seem terribly impractical and terribly expensive, so I'm unlikely to do that. But what that theme or concept means to me is there's so much abundance in my life that financial constraints will never restrict or hold me back from accomplishing something that I care about. And so to do that, I really need to build a great financial foundation. I'm doing that through real estate investing, through active businesses, through angel investing. I'm dabbling with a lot of different businesses and opportunities these days because I know I need to build that foundation for the next 5 years. At age 45, my goal is to essentially be able to take a meeting with anyone. What I mean by that is I want my reputation and I just want my reputation to precede me. You know, I want my accomplishments and reputation to be so impressive that people want to take meetings with me, even complete strangers. Now, I'll allow a small little list of people that maybe won't take meetings with me, like maybe Elon Musk, the President of the United States, Mark Zuckerberg. It's kind of it. I'd really like almost anyone else to be willing to take a meeting with me, maybe Bezos. But in general, the real idea here again is I want to be someone impressive. And so I know that that's going to take a lot of work and effort to turn this into something impressive that anyone's going to want to take a meeting with. But hey, I got 10 years. I'm patient. I'm willing to put in the hard work. In fact, there's that old saying and quote, I can't remember who to attribute it to. Oh, Bill Gates maybe. And he says that people underestimate what they can accomplish in 10 years and overestimate what they can accomplish in a year. And that to me is so true, guys. If there's like one piece of wisdom I could really instill for you on this video, it would probably be that, is that you're underestimating your capabilities over the next 10 years. And the reason you're doing that is because you've never sat down and got clear on those goals. Now, if you want to know what goal for age 50 is, you're going to have to wait around for a future video, and we'll answer that then.
How many hours per week do you spend creating and producing content across all your channels?
How many hours are in a day? Seriously, guys, I spend a lot of time creating content, but I also have a lot of team members spending a lot of time creating content. So if you didn't know, Peter, the Hungarian Experiment, he's the guy reading off these questions to me right now. He lives and works full-time with me in the mansion here producing content. We've got Janelle from our team. She's the media manager. We've also got Spencer. He's our primary editor for everything YouTube. We've got Spence, who is a different person. The names are turns out a lot of kids born around the same time are all named Spence or Spencer. I've got like 3-4 Spencers working for us right now. It's ridiculous. People need to get more creative with their names. But Spence, he's in charge of TikTok and a lot of our micro content. So they're constantly working in addition to myself. But as far as like what is Matt McKeever actually investing in time in regards to creating content? Well, for my education company, Cashflow Tribe, and that's what all these pillows and hats are about, I teach 3 weekly live classes. So those are at least an hour each, and we just constantly want to over deliver. So you almost always go an hour and a half on the calls because you feel like if you only did what you committed to, you're under delivering. I kind of have this thing, to me it's similar to the concept of on times late, or like early's on time and on time's late. The same sort of thing about delivering value. Delivering exactly what you promised is under delivering, and over delivering is just expected. So there's some prep time involved for doing those courses, but let's at least call it that 5 to 7 hours a week. Then I do a one-on-one content call with like more exclusive mentees. That takes about an hour a week on top of that for Cashflow Tribe. And then myself and Ben, we do like tribal summits, weekend workshops, and things of that nature where we're constantly teaching and recording those as well. Any given month, we could spend minimum 20 hours to maybe a maximum 60 hours on those projects because they're usually 2-day full intensive things. Then there's YouTube. We produce a YouTube video a day, and usually I would say for every minute of content you see, I at least spend double that time related to that content, and then there's all the time my team spends on top of that. So again, if we assume that this is probably a bit, let's say another 7 hours a week at least related to YouTube, then there's the random IG lives and Facebook lives, and also we do a weekly webinar for an hour and a half. So if I had to guess, I would guess that I'm maybe at 20 to 30 hours of true purposeful content creation. But then I'm also constantly consuming content and viewing it through the lens, not just as a consumer, but as a creator as well. So there is time that like I'm watching content that I believe that I'm actually investing in my education by studying the competition and the people that are more successful than me. And then, yeah, a lot of time. These days I just try and spend all my time doing something productive, and when in doubt, produce content. That's kind of what I do here. So I'm hoping to produce a lot more content somehow in the future. We'll figure out how that all works, but yeah, I spend a lot of time, but it doesn't have to be a lot at the start, and you can find ways to dual purpose your activities to accomplish more with less. So now that we were forced to quarantine and social distance and self-isolate here in Canada, we're doing all of our team meetings on Zoom. Well, it's really easy to set up Zoom to auto-record, and now every team meeting's recorded, and whenever we happen to have a good speech or a good discussion or a really interesting point or analysis, well, now we can create micro-content or full-blown YouTube videos out of it. So being able to repurpose that's big. But then before COVID, there's also all the travel time. So like driving to see Casey Wong, flying to Saskatchewan, Winnipeg, everywhere in between. There's a lot of those hours, a lot of networking as well. But to me, this is all an investment long-term into who and what Matt McKeever is. And that to me is the most valuable asset I have. And it makes sense to give it that amount of attention and dedication. So really appreciate the question. I would say if you're looking at starting to create your own content, don't get intimidated and think that you need to start spending every waking moment creating content. What you need to do is create content consistently. Now, whether that's once a week, once a day, once a month even, whatever you can do, commit to doing that, and then don't break that promise to yourself or your audience, regardless of whether your audience is one, if it's just your mom, your brother, your uncle, cousin, I don't care. Don't break that promise to your audience and just be consistent with it.
Lincoln Green asks, how do you attract more cash JV partners? I'm wanting to partner up on a few properties in Windsor, but have a hard time tracking down serious cash investors. Ideally, someone to hold the mortgage and or provide the down payment.
Yeah, great question, Quentin. Quentin's actually been a longtime fan and engager and is a Cashflow Tribe Alpha member and even came out to one of our weekend workshops. So I'm kind of familiar with your background, Quentin. You know enough to be able to succeed in real estate investing. So what I'm going to say, this isn't the answer you wanted, but this is the answer that everyone watching this video needs. The way to attract more money partners and money partners that are going to say yes faster and give you more creative terms is get better deals. Negotiate harder on the buy. Again, that's not the answer people want. They want me to say that oh, you didn't know about this secret bank that just gives you 100% loan to value financing? And I'm not patronizing you, Quentin, in any way, but that's what a lot of people secretly hope I'm going to say. It's not true, and there's no sense in me saying it. So the better your deal, in a perfect world, you're going to have deals so good that money partners are chasing you, that they're throwing money at you. You want your money partners to get addicted to their return on investment from you. There's been different points in my life where I was getting good enough deals that I had money partners addicted to me. Hey Matt, it's been a month and we haven't bought a house. What's going on? You still remember I want to buy a house, right? or I want to buy an apartment building or whatever the case is. And way too often what we're trying to do is force a bad deal onto someone. And so it really is hard. Like if there's not enough money for you to make money, let alone bring in a JV partner, it's a real struggle. So the best way you can do it is get better deals. The best way to get better deals is to negotiate better. And the best way to negotiate better is make more offers. I started 2020 with a consistent theme here on the YouTube channel. Make more offers, get more deals, and make more offers, get better deals as well. So what you need to do is just attract better deals and then be able to present them clearly and concisely. 1 to 2 pages max. Show the multiple exit strategies. Show how you're protecting your JV partner's money, and be very open and honest. When people see you hesitate, when they see you second guess yourself, when they see you not being authentic, even if we don't know exactly what's going on, we get a sense of it. And that naturally spooks any potential investor. So really being transparent and honest, and then just getting good deals. Those would be my two number one recommendations. And then beyond that, you have to have conversations with people. Real estate's a contact sport. So if you're not interacting with a lot of people on a regular basis, it's going to be harder for you to find good money partners, right? And if you're not constantly building relationships, if you're only focused on transactions, if you're always trying to get the lowest interest rate and that's the only thing you care about, again, just understand, why would anyone want to treat you any differently other than a transaction if that's how you're treating them? So again, not all that is specific to you, Quentin, but it's just the general advice that I think a lot of us new investors need to hear if we actually want to get results.
Why are a bunch of investors using profanity now like that's the way to do business?
Interesting, Marty. I think it's a multitude of reasons why we maybe see more profanity in content in general. One, I think morals and social norms have just laxed over the last century. At the same time, I think we have this assumption that somehow at some point in time, people didn't use profanity. They just use different types of profanity, right? And what happens is the words we used to use that were profane, we get comfortably numb to them. They become dull, blunt instruments that are no longer effective. So we need to go invent crazier and more aggressive words and terms, and we need to give new meaning and symbolism to words in order to have it have the same cutting effect. In general, I don't see a big deal between using profanity or not. To me, it's really just your personal communication style. I don't think that I'm profane for the sake of profane, but I also don't feel it necessary to hold myself back. If we're talking about real estate investing, we're talking about big boy stuff. We're talking about grown-up adult stuff, right? So if a curse word or swearing or profanity is really that troubling to an investor, I would just question whether you have the mental fortitude to continue. And again, I'm not projecting upon you, Marty. I get what you're saying. We probably don't need to be profane, but I think that a lot of influencers their natural speech patterns, I think, involve profanity. So it's just them being authentic to themselves. I'm sure there are influencers that are purposely profane, but I think it's less than you'd suspect. Now, that being said, it's a general issue, right? Separating noise from signal. So in general, we need to move towards the extremes to separate ourselves from the noise. If everyone's really middle of the road, mundane, even keel, it's just so noisy and competitive there that you can't stand out. So you end up having to edge further and further to the extremes in order to have your message heard, in order to have that message received. It's the same thing with politics, right? It's why politics always seem to deviate to the extremes and why there's no one that's a moderate these days that can be successful. Blame humans.
Advice for people looking to have just a few investment properties also while working full-time.
Great question, Robbie. So if you're looking to build up a small real estate portfolio while working full-time, I think one of the keys for you is going to be making a commitment to the time invested. So if real estate's not going to be your number one passion, if it's not going to be this burning desire, and it doesn't have to be for you, it can literally just be a means to an end. But if it is simply going to be a means to an end, you need to get really clear and set expectations with yourself in regards to how much time and energy you're going to invest into it. Because if it's not one of your primary goals, if you don't make time for it, you'll never find time for it. So I see so many investors have good intentions but lack results And it's just due to a lack of not putting in the hard work. There's no silver bullets. There's no secret formula or secret sauce. It literally, like, my ultimate cheat code is outworking everyone. So understand, if you're going to go about it part-time, if you're only going to spend an hour a week doing it, you can still succeed. But don't expect to have the same level of success as someone that goes all in, someone that fully immerses themselves, someone that's just chugging all the Kool-Aid. So you do you. Figure out the right path for yourself. The one other piece of advice I would give in that situation, or just in general for anyone, make sure that what you're trying to accomplish with real estate is clear for yourself, and then make sure you tie that goal to an emotion. Don't get into real estate investing to become a millionaire. Don't get into real estate investing because you want to become rich. Get into real estate investing for a specific end. So I'm getting into real estate investing, and it can evolve over time, but I'm getting into real estate investing to quit my day job. That's a much better goal than I'm getting into real estate investing to get rich. I'm getting into real estate investing to quit my day job so I can spend more time with my kids. That's an even better reason than just I want to quit my job. I want to get into real estate investing and build passive income because I want to quit my job and spend more time with my kids because my dad or my parents never got to spend the time with me I wish they would have, and I want to do different by my children. That's an even stronger emotional tie. I think in general, the person that focuses on the latter being their goal versus the original version we had, which is just I want to get rich in real estate, I know which person I would bet on to succeed.
Is it possible for me to rent out a part of my main floor as Airbnb without converting into a duplex?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want pretty much on Airbnb. In fact, I had friends of mine, and this was way back. They were way ahead of their time. But they were renting an apartment in downtown Toronto. They could not afford that apartment. It was super trendy and cool, but they weren't in high-paying jobs at the time. And what they did was they literally created a room in their living room out of sheets. So literally they've just put up fabric sheets. Maybe it was something a little bit nicer like curtains or something, but like literally think of it as just like stretching sheets across your room and being like, this is your room. As long as you fully disclose that on Airbnb, there's nothing wrong with it. And again, depending upon the exact nature, for my friends in this situation, a really highly desirable area. They're also very extroverted. So they love meeting new people. They love meeting world travelers. They love going out for drinks. They love eating food at restaurants. So they could also play host. So this not only was a financial success for them, but it was also a personal or social success as well. So just so we're clear, like you can rent out a couch, right, on Airbnb. I'm sure you could, in theory, rent out just a sleeping bag and a piece of floor. So it's really up to you to get creative in that regards, but don't hold yourself back. Whatever you need to do in order to house hack and get your living costs down to zero, I would encourage you guys to do.
What is the best way to approach someone for a mentorship? I've heard to tell them how you can help them, but what if your skills just aren't there to offer?
Yeah, a lot of people go about asking for a mentor wrong. The way I know that is because I receive a lot of requests for mentorship on a daily basis at this point. One, I appreciate that. It is flattering, so I don't want to like, oh, woe is me, I've got all these people that want my advice. That being said, it is shocking how many people have a sense of entitlement towards my time. And I suspect that the average person you're going to seek from mentorship will really respect their time. And in fact, if you're seeking mentorship from someone that doesn't respect their time, I would really challenge you on whether that person is the sort of mentor you want. Because all the successful people I know, the most precious asset they have, the thing they hold tightest onto, is their time. Leading with value is a great approach in regards to trying to build that relationship with a mentor. In fact, I think we did a video on my YouTube channel where I talked about all my previous mentorship relationships. So if Peter remembers, we'll throw a link in the video description down below because I really encourage you to watch that video because I think it's going to be more effective for you to listen to me talk about the different mentorship relationships I've had and how they developed. A recurring theme was I was often a paid employee and it wasn't a formal mentorship. At no point in time did I use the word mentor. But at the same time, I was a sponge and I was willing to absorb any morsel of information or any tip or trick that I was able to be exposed to because of these high-performing individuals. Now, I get this concern or fear that like, I want to be mentored by a successful real estate investor, but I'm not a successful real estate investor, so what can I add of value? How can I try and lead with value if I don't have deals, if I don't have money, if I don't have experience in real estate? Step one, think bigger than just real estate. That person isn't simply a real estate machine. They've got other things going on in their lives. They've got other commitments, other aspects, and just a lot of other things outside of real estate. So maybe you can help them there some way. But again, you need to be careful about this. The number of people that like DM me willing to offer fitness advice in exchange for real estate advice when I've never made that proposition, I would just really encourage you to be cognizant of how that can come off. I don't think I take things that personally, so I don't get too upset about it. But like the number of people that are like,
Bro, you need to get shredded and I can be the dude to take you there. All I need in exchange is for you to spend some time to talk about real estate with me.
I'm just like, nah. Because again, that person's not really focused on me, right? Like they've just figured out, they're like, I've got a hammer, I'll just hammer Matt. And hopefully he likes being hammered. And yeah, so really make sure that you're trying to lead with value. So I suspect that the average person you're going to try and seek mentorship from does respect their time. So I think ways you can save them time can be very valuable. I'm a dude that does a lot on social media. You know what's something that probably would get my attention? If your first DM to me is your life story and asking for my time, just understand you're asking for my most precious resource. You literally might be better off asking me just for money. Like, if it's like, hey, can I have 30 minutes or $30? I'm probably more likely to give you $30 than I am 30 minutes. Because if my time's only worth $1 a minute, I think I'm doing things wrong long-term with where I want to be going. So save me time on social media. And like, now I'm going to get like 1,000 people DMing me, and this isn't the point. So it's not to literally get mentorship from me, but like a lot of the people you probably seek mentorship from probably are social influencers, right? Or aspire to be, or know that there's value in doing that. What would happen if you offered to make them 20 Instagram stories or 10 Instagram posts? What if you took all your favorite quotes from them and made content? Like this is something I did with Stefan Arniel that we talk about in the mentorship video, where what I did with Stefan was I knew he was coming to town, so I made a series of YouTube videos about him. At the time, my YouTube channel wasn't big. He still had a bigger YouTube channel than me. I think he was rocking like 3,000 subscribers at the time, and I had a measly 500. But at the same time, I was like, well, how can I provide value to him? He's successful as a real estate investor and coach, so it doesn't make sense for me to approach him on that angle. Well, hey, I see he's got a YouTube channel, but I think I'm making better content, so let me make some free videos just promoting him, and let me just put it on my channel and just lead with value. And then when I met him, I didn't bring it up. I was like, hey, Stefan, did you see that video I made about you? Because now you owe me because I made an unsolicited video about you. I was just like, hey, man, will you sign my book? And he was like, you look familiar. I was like, oh, yeah, maybe you saw I made some videos about you talking about my favorite, top tips from your books, da-da-da-da-da. So based upon that, I was leading with value, but also not like trying to make him feel compelled to help me, right? Had Stefan not recognized me from that video, I probably would have tried to ask one or two insightful questions, and then I would have kept tagging him and DMing him until I got his attention or until I decided I wanted someone else's attention instead. And that persistence is really important because, again, I'm sure some of you guys have the best of intentions when you reach out, and maybe you have been a day one follower. Maybe you literally were #1 subscriber to Matt McKeever's YouTube channel. But first things first, there can literally only be one first subscriber, and the number of people that already claim to be that, it doesn't mathematically make sense. But two, if you've never commented, if you never engaged with me, you're a ghost. And so how do I tell the authentic day one fans from the inauthentic ones? Because a lot of people will tell me a lot of things just to try and get me on the phone. And they will say, I've watched every video. Or, man, I've been a fan for so long, and then somehow they'll mention what their favorite video of mine is or the video that got them hooked. I'm like, that video came out less than 6 weeks ago. Like, I've been doing this shit for 4 years. And another thing that drives me bonkers is when you're seeking, all of a sudden this just became me ranting about people asking for mentorship. We're probably going to make a spin-off video about this now. But The other thing that drives me bonkers is asking a question that I've already answered. So like DMing me and asking me what BRRRR stands for is insanity in my opinion. I don't even know how many videos I have on BRRRR, but I suspect we could have 50 plus videos on my YouTube channel that either have the word BRRRR said in it or in the video title. We probably have dozens where it's literally on the thumbnail, just the letters BRRRR. So it makes no sense for me to want to repeat for the 50,000th time what BRRRR stands for. So make sure that you're being thoughtful and engaging when you're seeking mentorship as well. And understand that way too often you guys want to immediately get married before we've even gone on our first date. So like maybe you start by like just softly providing a little bit of value. And then maybe we start chatting back and forth a little bit. And then maybe we escalate the relationship. But for you to just go 0 to 100 that quick, while I appreciate the passion, it's really easy to watch one of my YouTube videos, get fired up, and send me, a 50-word message about how you're going to change your life, you're going to do all this, but like, show me. Why not be like, hey Matt, you know what? I heard you say make an offer a day, and that for 30 days would change my future as a real estate investor. Here's me making an offer day 1. Here's a selfie with me day 2. You know what would happen after 30 days of you sending me selfies of you making offers? I'm going to reach out because I'm going to respect the work ethic, because you're going to have proved to me that even if you're not providing me direct value, you at least care about my time, which is something I do value. So now I'm going to trust that you're not going to waste it. But until you've built trust with me that you're not going to waste my time, why would I give you the keys to the castle? Why would I give you my time?
What is a good source to find out current market rents in the area?
Great question about where to find current market rents in the area. What I'd recommend you do is check out websites like PadMapper, which is an aggregator of different for rent platforms. Also, if PadMapper is not effective, find a similar type platform. Make sure you're filtering out for short-term rentals, because those can really skew the numbers up and make for a lot of confusion in regards to new real estate investors trying to get dialed in on the market data. Beyond that, the next thing I'm going to recommend you do is check out CMHC or Stats Canada. CMHC stands for the Canadian Mortgage Housing Corporation or something like that. And what they do is they do at least yearly reporting on every major metro area and every major real estate market in Canada and break down for us exactly what market rents are. Now, in general, I find CMHC's data to be a little bit lagging. So, for example, here in London, Ontario, CMHC may tell me that a one-bedroom apartment on average rents for $900 a month. That may be true, but what I need to understand is what a one-bedroom apartment rents out for today is likely higher than that 900, right? Because that's made up of an average, which includes someone that's been living in the same apartment since 1970 versus someone that's been living in the same apartment for 7 days. So in general, CMHC is a good base benchmark. You should aspire to constantly beating CMHC's numbers, but if you're trying to be conservative with your estimates, that's a great place to start. As well, Stats Canada has similar information. If I remember correctly, I think CMHC's is more robust. So I'd recommend you start there. And then if you're looking for general information about your market, I really encourage you to check out your city's website, right? And look at things like Stat Canada's future projections of immigration trends, things of that nature. Get a feel for the unemployment and vacancy rates going on in your local market. All this stuff you should be able to just rhyme off. Like if you guys want me to rhyme it off about London, Ontario, boom, 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 I can do it because I'm just a market expert. And long term, if you want to be really successful in this business, becoming an expert, just putting in the hard work, it's the ultimate cheat code in my opinion. So if you want to hear about London, Ontario's market, I can tell you about our employment picture, right? A lot of people think London is this automotive city like Windsor, Ontario. What they don't understand is our largest employer is London Health Science Centre. So they currently employ like 22,000 people. Of those 22,000 people, about 2,000 of those jobs are in research. Now, if we're looking for our biggest private employer, so non-government employed, it's going to be TD Canada Trust. They've got like 3,500 well, at least they did before COVID-19, employees here in London, Ontario. For auto manufacturing jobs, I think we've got 10,000 distributed between a variety of individual companies. But what a lot of people don't realize is we've also got 9,000 creative digital arts jobs. So if you want to say that London's an auto manufacturing city, I feel like you also have to claim that it's a creative digital arts city. And I've never heard someone make that claim about London, Ontario. So it really is important that you be able to separate the data from the drama in regards to your market. And you should know what direction it's headed in, right? I know that the stats out through 2046 look very favorable for London, Ontario from an immigration and net migration perspective. You guys should know that about your market.
What are some of the best books to read? I'm just finishing Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I'm really excited about building my assets, but I'm not so confident about buying my first asset yet.
Great question. So as far as book recommendations I would make, if you're just getting started out, again, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that is the gateway drug for 99% of real estate investors. So I really encourage you start there. If we're looking for additional personal finance books, the next ones that immediately come to mind are The Wealthy Barber. So again, this to me it's very much mindset oriented, like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Then The Millionaire Next Door by Dr. Stanley. Really encourage you guys to check out that book. If you have any preconceived notions or limiting beliefs around, millionaires drive Ferraris or Lambos, this book will slice those misunderstandings for you. It will completely change your perspective, because the average millionaire in the United States, they actually drive a used car. They're actually relatively frugal. They're not flashy with their money. They're likely self-employed or own a small business. And there's a variety of interesting factors that Dr. Stanley explores throughout that entire book. The last book I'm going to recommend in regards to basic personal finances is The Millionaire Fastlane. This book really focuses on the compression of time and making the most of your time, so return on time, which is a recurring theme for me in 2020 as well. Once you're kind of stepping outside of that, then there's so many good, amazing books. What I really encourage you guys to do is like get an Audible subscription or get plugged into your local library and get access to audiobooks and just make the most of your personal education. There's so much great information out there. All you need to do is commit and make the time to consume it. All right, so that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. Feels like we spent a lot of time together. Smash that like button if you got value from this video. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to my channel. If you would like your question answered on the next YouTube video, jump in that comment section and hit us up with your questions, real estate, personal finance, business, or anything and everything in between. Again, until next time, remember, making money is a team sport. There's more than enough money in this world for us to all make it, but if you're not saving it, I mean, like, what's the point? Thanks, guys.